All right, so new project in the shop today. I'll explain to you what it's doing here and how we're going to fix it. All right, quite simply, this is an old retired pull truck, and if you know anything about those chemicals, they're extremely corrosive to metal, so that bed's completely gone. And looking back here at both the frame rails, this is completely eaten away and no longer able to hold either the truck bed or the bumper. So today we're going to cut and replace both of these frame rail ends. First things first, before we do any cutting, these two mounting points for the bed have very specific mounting locations. So before we cut any of that off, we're going to come up with a jig that will locate both of those mount locations. Also, looking at these frame rail sections, you can see there's really nothing left of this bolting plate that used to hold the bumper on. Now moving forward, I need to find where the metal is still solid without getting into these shackles. I do believe at this point here is where I'm going to be cutting it, and then we'll section it inwards, and this is where we'll get into some decent metal again, and we'll have fresh metal and structure all the way back. Creating my frame jig with some scrap metal to align both bed mounting locations. This cross piece will get bolted directly to the frame. Now clamping and welding two additional supports to the existing truck frame. I'm bringing the truck back outside to cut the rusted sections off of the frame rails. Now that we got these cut off of here, I think the good progress report is I have plenty of good metal to weld into. Now moving back to these, I need to fabricate or reuse these little uprights that hold the bed. I'm going to start off with just cutting these off the frame rail. I'm going to soak them in some solvent and see, or some rust restore, and see if I can get these to a usable condition. Okay, so here are the bed brackets taken off, and there's plenty of good metal here, so I think after I give this a good soak in the good old Evapo rust solution, this will be good to go, and we can put them back on our newer frame rails. Alright, so when I last left off, I was about to fabricate my own rail ends with this box tubing I have right here. In the meantime, I picked up these cut-off frame rails out of a junkyard off of a wrecked Frontier. Now this will save me a lot of fabrication time, and I'll be able to weld these right onto the existing rails with some additional strengthening. All we need to do now is line this up with the existing frame rails and the frame mounting jig that I made earlier, and we should be ready to weld it up. Got the passenger side frame rail just tacked welded on and lined up with my jig. And on the driver's side again, tack welded up and lined up with the jig. Now I'm just gonna step back. I'm gonna test fit the bumper and see how that goes, and then we'll try the hitch. Okay, I've tightened all my bumper bolts up. Now I feel confident enough we're going to come back and we're going to seam weld those frame rails all the way in. Now that I got everything fully welded in and looking good, I can remove my alignment jig. And now I can take this bumper off, and we're going to add some fish plates to strengthen the joints where I welded the frame together. So these are my fish plates that I came up with, and the idea is you weld these in over your seam and around. Normally they're a lot bigger than this, but because this suspension perch is right here, it kind of interferes with making a big square plate. So in the meantime, this will work for strengthening this joint. We're going to weld one on this side and on the inside of each frame rail. Now that I have all that sorted out, I'm going to go over it with some paint and primer and then hit it with some rubberized undercoating. Now for a coat of the undercoating. Now all my framework is completed. Now I can bring in the bed, the truck bed, and get that bolted on. Ready?
Yeah.
Up.
Hey, I got this gas in here.
Bolting the truck bed back to the frame here, and everything is lining up perfectly. Installing the bumper, and now installing the tailgate. There it is. The rust repair on this frame is complete. We have a bed back on here again. The bumper's fitted well and tow hitch. I'm gonna get this thing back outside, and this thing has a long life left ahead. Thanks for watching.